Shelley, it's been quite a year for us in the finances at Rome Alliance Church. It's been a year of some changes, some challenges, and then there was COVID in the middle of all of it, and that really made things interesting. So change number one was that this is your first year to be the church treasurer. How did that go? What did God teach you in the course of this year?
I think it went very well. I'll tell you the main thing that I learned, and I've learned this throughout my life, but especially in this role, is that you don't need to worry about anything, that God has already gone ahead of you and prepared the way. So if you think you're not going to know anything, or you're not going to be prepared, or you're not going to know what to do, don't worry. He's got it covered. He's prepared a way, and you'll be fine. So that was the main lesson I've learned so far, and I'm sure there's a lot more to learn in the next few years.
Well, that's a cool answer. I think when we take on a volunteer task and God teaches us a lesson, it's a valuable one. Certainly, we've seen a lot of God's faithfulness in the course of this year, in how people have stepped up to participate and give, and it's been just an exciting experience. I thought it would be particularly beneficial. There we go. Thought it would be particularly beneficial to share with folks some of the stats as to what's been accomplished this year. And it's been an exciting year in the finances of the church, and a year in which we can really see God's hand at work. And I don't know any other way to say it or to bring it up than to talk about we've seen God accomplish some amazing changes in the course of the year. So how did we do this year, Shelley?
We did very well. Just talking about our general fund, our operating fund, sometimes it's called. These figures are through the end of November, but compared to last year, we're up over 12% in the giving to the operating fund. And talking about how God prepared the way for me in this role. I think some of the uses for the money that we received this year, he prepared the way for the COVID pandemic in our church. I mean, we did technology upgrades, the online giving, that was all in place before COVID hit, and that allowed us for people to still give, and for us to have church online and everything like that. Our online giving was up over 240%. So people could still give even when we were not in church. So it's pretty cool.
And also on the line, we've got Jesse Swinney. Jesse, you're one of the deacons, and you've had a big hand in working with the COVID fund. How did that go? Were you surprised at some of the things that took place? Tell us a little about your experience there.
I was surprised at how much we had given to the fund. It was quite a bit. And it's been used for many different things for some people in the church that need food, like say they're quarantining, or some of the various projects we have going on. So that was very interesting to me. I was glad to see that the project continued on even after, when it initially came around. It just kept on trucking along, just like COVID has. The community's help
And all we know to say is thank you for people's faithful giving.
Yes.
And as you noted, we had gifts that came in from people that aren't even part of the congregation. They're just part of the community, or people that live somewhere else but were excited about what we were doing. What do you see ahead, Jesse? What might the next phase of COVID support or relief entail for the deacons?
Well, I like the idea of reaching out to people in the community that can't get out. providing groceries, helping maybe some shut-ins or people that are affected by COVID who need help, because not everybody has friends or family that can bring them food. I mean, you got to be locked up for 2 weeks. That's a long time.
Boy, what a cool way to be in touch and in connection with our community. Shelley, another huge change that came this year was we added some staff changes. That had to make your stomach a little nervous for a while, didn't it?
A little bit, yep. But yeah, we're happy to have Pastor John on board, and the district has agreed to provide some of his salary, and we pray that the giving comes in for that next year without the district's help. And he'll be a great asset to the youth, and we're excited to have him.
Another big change is we want people to know where we stood at the end of November with regard to fund balances. These are the main funds. These are the restricted, the third line down, the restricted line. Shelley, explain to us what that restricted fund balance relates to.
The restricted money is money that comes in for a certain purpose, like the Great Commission Fund or benevolent or the COVID account, specific things that are not to be used for our general fund, which we pay the bills for and stuff like that. So it's money that's already designated to a certain spot. And we want to keep that separate from our other money so that we know how much of our grand total has already been spoken for and is not, to be used for other things.
Cool answer. Right. Great. And it's important for us to be able to say to people, that money is set aside for the purpose that you gave it for. That's a matter of integrity. And then the unrestricted income is what we use for the general fund, paying the bills, keeping the lights on, covering the staff. And you see what there is. And then there is also a building reserve fund. This is an investment account that relates to money that came from the sale of the parsonage. And it's money that's invested for long-term use and building. And so the total amount of funds available at the end of November are shown here. That also brings us to, when we think about ministry, it's not just what we're doing inside, it's what we're doing outside of the church. And there's lots of missions giving opportunities that go on. Jesse, you were one of those that was part of the missions team project going to Bosnia. What kind of prompted you to think, I want to go in that direction? I want to do that.
Well, it just, as soon as I heard of the trip being planned, it felt right. I felt God telling me, hey, this is something you should do. I think it would stretch me to be in a more uncomfortable situation that will maybe put me out of my comfort zone, and maybe help me grow my faith by seeing the challenges that other people go through when we have it so easy here. And I just thought that it would help me as a Christian to be able to talk more freely about Christ with others.
And that's what mission's all about, isn't it, guys? We give to those various causes, whether it's support for the ICUS rent in Bosnia or the Great Commission Fund or the various projects that we've been involved with. We do that because God's called us to reach out. Any thoughts, Shelley, as we close? What's the challenge ahead for the new year in our finances?
I think the challenge that we showed on the other slide, our budget for next year is $160,000. So if we bring in this year what we're expected to bring in, we're just shy of that number by about 5.3%. So that's a challenge for the church. But we have some new things in the budget, such as a community outreach item. I think, I think the mission of the church is strong, and the giving is strong, and I think it's going to be a great year ahead.
Thank you for your service, Jesse, along with the deacons. Shelley on the finance team is our treasurer. It's been a wonderful year to celebrate how God is faithful. Thank you.